the Hi, everybody. How are you? I got distracted for a second there as I got the recording going. Welcome. It's September 19th. It's pretty wild. It's hard to believe it's September 19th for me. I don't know. Some of you are totally into the fall yet, and weather crept on us. I'm really excited today about the presentation. You know, much of our community, or a portion of our community, is still struggling with the COVID pandemic. And I think what we're going to hear about today is a really plus, and commend the Department of Developmental Services for its plan that they're going to share with us. And thank God for ARPA. And hopefully we'll see more ARPA funds. I know there was just a release about ARPA digital funds that came out last week. So and I'm not sure how broadly those will be distributed, but obviously today this is really important for our community. So I want to introduce to you first Tim Cahill, who's, let me see if I can put my screen thing. There you are. There's Tim. See my hand? I'm sort of trying to point him out. And he's assistant commissioner. And, I feel like you've been there almost close to a decade, Tim, now in a leadership position at the Department of Developmental Services.
6.5 years, Leo.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, the time, I should say, feels like a longer time because of all the things I see you involved in. How's that for a rebound from 10 to 6.5? But really, I've always found you forthright, and I know you're the one that always, when we're asking for data, somehow in the last several years, you're in the mix, right, to share the data and gather it, which I know is not fun. So I thank you in front of everybody for doing that as well, and the team that works with you. I also I think, Ellen, you've been on already, Kilicarslan, who I've known for, I'm going to say now, I'm probably going to blow it again, over 20 years.
I'm sure it's over 20.
Yeah. And has been at the department, I think, nearly 2 years. Am I close on that one?
Yeah.
And she oversees family support services. And actually, yeah, you were doing some other things, right, before you took over the family support piece.
Yeah.
DESE, if I remember right, which is the program that's the collaboration between the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education and DDS. So really pleased and to have you both with us. And and I think family support, respite care is so important, and the department knows that and has some great team leaders out there in the regions. And it's been trying with the multicultural centers and the family support and autism centers to outreach a lot to our community. So thank you for all of that. I want to go ahead and do you want to say any just introductory things first, Tim and Ellen, and then I can pull up the slides that you sent me.
Just that I'm really happy to be here with Ellen, and I know several of our colleagues from our regional teams are here as well. So just happy to be here and to talk about this important topic.
Great. And Ellen, feel free to say anything you want.
I'm just happy to be here, and this is all good stuff. So this is great.
Okay, great. And what I've done is I've switched. Are people seeing the speaker view now? I don't know if I have control of that or if it's just Leo doing it for his, but for those of you that are watching, you can switch to speaker view as Tim and Ellen talk about this. So just want you to know it's up usually on the upper right.
Yeah, I can pin them when they're talking too.
That's great. Thank you, Carrie. That would be awesome. And that's Carrie Mahoney, who's Director of Education and Outreach at the ARC, who she or Kathleen Amaral are always helping me with these sessions. So thank you, Carrie. Well, let me go ahead and, I'm going to go ahead and get the slide up. And I'm going to try something different today that didn't work. Okay, I'm going to have to first share, then get the slide up. I tried to do something different, but it didn't work. Okay, now let me start the slideshow. Okay. And this is the obviously the cover page. So let me get into it. All right, Tim and Ellen.
Great. Well, thank you, Leo, and it's nice to be here today. So my name again is Tim Cahill, and I'm Assistant Commissioner for Operations at the department. And I have the privilege of working with a really great team in our central office, of which Ellen is a part, to provide statewide coordination and support to our regional teams. And I know several of my regional colleagues are here today as well. So the regions and the areas really play, as you all know, an integral role in all the services and supports that we provide DDS supported individuals, and this is no different. We have the unique opportunity to have these ARPA funds available for the next 2.5 years remaining to do some really innovative and exciting initiatives in all kinds of topic areas, but this particular broad area is respite initiatives. It's been a priority, I know, of our commissioner for a long time now to try to support families that are providing care to loved ones at home and families generally with loved ones supported by us. And so we're hoping that these different initiatives that we outlined briefly today will be able to do that and offer some new opportunities for individuals to have some meaningful activities, and I'll also offer some respite opportunities for families at the same time. So you can go to the next slide. So, so really the purpose is to provide more respite options and more creative respite options for family caregivers that meet their needs. And there are really 5 different topic areas that our regional and area office teams have been working on the past several months with you all and other providers to really come up with some good, meaningful plans and start to implement some great and exciting opportunities. So this is a very brief, high-level overview, but I'll just kind of give an explanation of each topic area, and feel free to, at the end of the couple of slides that I have, to ask questions, and we'll do the best we can to answer. So the first topic area is school vacation programs. So really this is an opportunity to try to offer more summer and other school vacation and camp programs to DDS supported individuals, young individuals and adults in some cases, to really provide some enriching opportunities for them, and again, give caregivers an opportunity to have some time. The second topic area is drop-in respite. And so really this is weekend drop-in respite programs. So families can have a loved one spend some meaningful time on a Saturday or a Sunday at a respite location. And again, it provides a break to the caregiver. The third topic area is hotel respite. And this is really an exciting opportunity to allow individuals to have an opportunity to really take part in some cultural and other fun and meaningful activities, maybe in the area of the state that they live in, but maybe in a different area too, or to visit some cultural and other opportunities that they may not be able to. And it's really a lot like you and I being able to just get away for a weekend and explore a city and really take advantage of some opportunities, with the hotel being kind of your base. So this is an exciting opportunity. We do have some site-based respite programs that we are in the process of working with providers to open. And so for the remainder of FY23, fiscal year 23, and next fiscal year, which is 24, we're at this point planning to open 7 new respite programs. And at this point, at least one of them looks like it will be a medical respite. And then the fifth topic is really the flexible funding stipend. And the goal here is to both increase the number of individuals and families that are benefiting from a stipend, and to also really look at in areas where the individual and family could really benefit from an additional amount, getting additional amounts out where appropriate. So those are the 5 topic areas. And the next slide, I can just kind of give you a little update on where we are. So as I mentioned before, we have till March 2025 to spend these ARPA funds, and thus federal government, ends up extending that further, but that's the deadline we have at this point. So that's really 2.5 years from now. So there's been a lot of really good work by our area office teams and their contracted provider organizations over the past several months to get some new initiatives in place. Not only planning, but several programs are starting up this month and next month, if they haven't already. So there's a lot of great work going on. Most of the implementation and most of these initiatives will occur over the current fiscal year that we're in right now. And then out of those 5 topic areas that I just reviewed, at this point, this is really what we have on the docket for FY23. And this is across all 4 of our regions. So this is statewide. So we have, at this point, we have 20 drop-in respite initiatives that we are in the process of implementing. We have 12 hotel respite initiatives, 7 site-based overnight respite. Again, these are new programs or initiatives. 8 school vacation initiatives and 19 stipend initiatives. So, so that this gives you a sense of the scope of all the different activities that are really underway, which again, we're really excited about. Again, the regions and areas are really using this as a chance to try new things. And then if they're successful, maybe we can do more on a longer term basis. And this final bullet here is certainly really important. And that's really identifying, are there certain areas and populations that up to now haven't been offered the same amounts and opportunity of services and supports, and how do we use this opportunity and this unique funding opportunity to try to target those populations? So that's definitely going into the planning that the area offices are making with the various initiatives that I just referred to. So that's a really high level of where we are. But I'll kind of stop, and if you have questions, happy to try to take any questions you have. And if we can't give you a quick answer, I certainly can get back and with a follow-up if needed.
That's great. Let's let people, I have a few, but let's let people ask first. And then I'm also going to try to get this screen sharing so I can show it in a smaller way so people can both still look at it. And so who would like to, Carrie, you want to look for people who want to say something while I try to mess around with the PowerPoint for a second and try to get it, showing in a small.
Or you could just chat in if you have a question, or raise your hand, unmute yourself. I have questions, of course. But I'll wait.
I guess my comment would be, I would like to see support for more middle-class families that their people are living at home with them. I feel like they really kind of got left out in terms of a lot of parents had to stay home that aren't working. They still don't have kids in young adults in programs or older adults in programs. I know at our house, we're lucky we both have flexible jobs because we've had to split who works from home and who works at the office because we still don't have day programming, and there's not been, we haven't been able to find anybody. So, the flex money has worked for us somewhat, but I think really those are the people I see that sort of got left behind. The residential homes got extra money during the pandemic because they had people at home during the day, but parents who had people living with them got nothing. And in fact, those families also didn't get the, in a lot of instances, didn't get the tax money either because they claim them as dependents. So if you're a dependent over 18, you were not able to collect it yourself, and your parents weren't able to collect for it either. So that's the group that I think it keeps getting kind of left behind.
So Paul, just to sort of clarify for Tim and Ellen, you're talking about folks that weren't able to have someone at the day program, didn't get any resources, because it's people even today not getting into day
Oh,
programs.
yeah, I mean, we're
They're middle
still-
class or working class, right?
Yeah, I mean,
or-
I'll just give you a little bit, Tim, my profile is I'm a AVP of employment over here at Work Inc. in Fitchburg. And luckily that's my job, so they get it. Because I have a 24-year-old with Down syndrome that was eligible for adult services about a month before the pandemic shut down. He went to a day program for about a month, hated it. And then now has established a fabulous routine for himself of what he likes to do all day. And we've been trying to get him back into some kind of routine. He's working, and the days he's working are great, but we have not got any kind of day consistency. And so again, my husband and I have been home, and we are lucky to have jobs where we've been able to juggle that or take him to work with us if that's some days. But it's really been a hardship for families who, didn't have that luxury. One of them had to quit in a lot of cases, and I have a lot of friends who are either went, with a self-directed program, which is really difficult to do. It's super time consuming. It's not for everyone. It's a full-time job, basically. I call it like trading your life for theirs. Like now your life is managing their life, which I guess is great for some people, but for me, that's just not realistic.
Thank you, Paula. I think this is great. And Paula is a strong advocate, and also I serve on an advisory board with her too. So, Tim, you were going to answer that? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, Paula, you make really important points. I think it'd be important for families in this situation to really have a conversation with your son or daughter service coordinator and, identify and be specific about what additional supports and services would really benefit him or her. And in the context of family supports, this is certainly a funding opportunity that we have right now that we don't normally have. In addition to the fact that we've been fortunate to have a fully funded family support budget for several years too. So there's definitely supports available, I think, but I would say a conversation with the service coordinator would be really important.
So that's true for everybody, right, Tim? If people need something,
Yes.
really do that. The only thing I want to do is follow up to what Paul just said, though. Your last bullet on slide 2, emphasis on targeting these initiatives. To her question, do you think who's doing that and who can give input on that? What would be a great way to give input on the targeting?
Well, I mean, it's that bullet doesn't mean that we're foregoing other populations to target populations that we haven't really reached maybe as much as we would like to previously. It's really an and situation. Yeah. But I know that there are some initiatives, and I'll pause, and if any of my colleagues want to chime in and add detail, they should feel free to. But I know out in Western Mass and in Southeastern Mass, we have certain communities where we're making a concerted effort to try to target and reach families that we haven't reached yet. And some of those areas are more low-income communities where we really want to try to do more.
So that'd be great to share with people, your colleagues that are doing that in the future Leo Live, because it's been a big thing for the ARC, and we know people are trying to work on these things, and we'd love to get the word out because it gives people hope as well. There's a bunch of other questions.
Lots of questions here. So
yeah, so one is, to your point, there's going to be 7 sites. Sheldon asked about overnight respite, and I see there's 7 site-based ones that are being anticipated, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that means you're probably going to be rolling out the RFR soon for whether it's day drop-in respite or these new respites in terms of rolling out the RFRs for these, or is it going to be done in a different way to get them going?
So, and Ellen, feel free to chime in here, but I think where we can, we're using existing, RFRs and contracts that are already open to try to get a lot of these initiatives in place as opposed to really trying to, or needing to kind of take the time to open up a new RFR and go through that whole process.
Great idea. Great.
And the SQL RFR that we just earlier in the summer release includes this respite. So, and it's an open rolling RFR. So if there's more providers that are interested in being considered to do the overnight facility-based respite, they can respond to the ARPA.
And regionally for the overnight ones, again, picking up on two people's questions, you know, how do you think that'll play? Do you think it does it depend on who's willing to do it, or to what extent can you get them distributed regionally?
Yeah, I can just touch on that because I was looking at that on Friday. So we have, at this point, we have 2 additional overnight respites planned in our Southeast region, 2 in our Central West region, 2 in our Northeast region, and 1 in our Metro region. And so that's the total of 7.
Great. And then, of course, Central West being big, people will be curious eventually, you know, where those are, right? And then we're going to get back. Kelly asked a question, but I want to go through some of the other questions that Carrie referenced. And let me just look the dollar amount. I guess somebody's asking about dollar amount for family stipend monies in terms of the increased family stipend monies. If either of you could answer that.
Yes. So the one kind of starting point is we're trying to make sure that each family is offered a minimum of $750. And then, you know, there's a look at basically each individual's and family's needs and whether more than that is needed.
So it's case by case.
Yes, but that is the minimum that we're looking at across the board.
We also realize that not every family has been afforded a stipend, so we're looking to also broaden that. So.
Yeah, so my remembering this, and you helped me out, both of you, on this, and I know Ingrid was on, but she's gone. But my recollection was, unless she's still on, and I don't see her, my recollection was Southeast was big on trying to get in the old days, and I don't know if the old days, I've been around too long to try to get everybody to get some stipend, right? While others focused on that 750 number, which I remember. Do you think, is it still pretty inconsistent that way regionally? So you're trying to make it across the board statewide to get to everybody?
Well, right now, definitely the emphasis is on trying to make sure that any family who's receiving a stipend is getting that minimum of 750. And then, as Ellen said, we're also looking at trying to just reach more families and offer it to more families who could benefit from it.
Great, good. So there's a question on, again, somebody commenting about the day apps, Kelly, many are not open and some have obviously shrunk. Or many are open, but they sort of still have a cap because they don't have enough staff, right? So she's referencing the allied health therapies, speech therapy, physical therapy, OT. She's asking, how could I get funds to help with what she's paying privately, $500 weekly. That's part of his ISP. So is there a potential of getting some of that cost defrayed?
So we do have, we have and Ellen, feel free to jump in, but I know we have a guide about allowable and disallowable use of the stipend. And so I think that, this would have to, I don't have that memorized from top to bottom, but this would have to really fit within what's allowable there. But I think, again, a conversation with the service coordinator or family support director would be helpful, but I'll stop. Ellen, feel free to add.
No, and those would be allowable. It's just that amount, like I $500 a month is, I don't know if we would ever cover all that, but yes, indeed, some of that stuff, it can be covered with the flex funds, but in a limited way, I guess I want to say. So.
Okay, so for people who want to access flex funds, there's actually a couple of ways to do that, right? Ideally, your family support center is where you want to go and get, right, Ellen? That's where they would go to request it.
I would do both your center and your area office, because the area office is really making those decisions.
So the question from somebody came directly to me is, the family support money that we're talking about is for all eligible individuals, or whether they're kids or adults, just to be clear. but they have to be eligible for DDS services to remind people. And if for some reason somebody is not, and you think they should be, please race quickly to get your application in for eligibility. And that's done regionally, but just go to your area office, regional office, it doesn't matter. And mass.gov/DDS, you'll see those locations by area. And
definitely your family support centers can help you with that application. And those, again, if you go to our website, the directory of centers is there. So if you want to find a center close to you, it's there, it's available, and they'll definitely be able to help you with the application process.
I have a question. Well, somebody asked, I know Carrie would want me to pay attention to all the questions. So there is a question.
Yeah, the first one is there anywhere where further details on the implementation? I think that's an important one. Lots of people, as things evolve, is there a place that people can go to get more info?
This is kind of off the top of my head, but we're in the process of implementing a new newsletter that our Family Support Council that Ellen chairs, and we meet with them quarterly, has recommended. So maybe that would be an opportunity, to start to put some information in the newsletter about different things that are going on with regard to this. But this is so new that we really, to be honest, we don't have a lot written down just because everything's in flux and happening so quickly.
And I want to just be clear for the audience, not every single family support center and program is engaging in this. And we've have some other providers who aren't doing family support also helping with some of these initiatives. So your best bet is to go again locally back to your area office to see what's happening in your area. But like Tim said, once we get things more fully developed, we'll have to figure out a way to advertise it.
So just to help people, just really quickly, for those of you that are relatively new to this, that link I gave you, it takes you right here.
Yeah.
And as Ellen said, you can go to DDS Family Support Programs, you can apply for DDS services, and then you can contact the area office here. So I just wanted people quickly to just get a sense of how simple it is. And you can always Google Mass DDS, and you can also Google Mass Department of Developmental Services too, so if you're having trouble with what was that thing they put up there, so it's important to search, and I can't say enough about the area office and Family Support Center, how local resources are critical in reaching your local contacts. I was gonna, on the overnight respite, 7 site-based, how many are there right now, site-based? I was curious. Am I stumping you on that? I apologize.
Yeah, sorry, I was on mute, but unless Ellen knows off the top of her head, that might have to be one I follow up on to be certain.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry.
By the way.
I feel like there's only a few, like 2 or 3 tops, right? I mean,
Yeah.
my God, I know I'm being
That's right.
throwing it out there, but so 7 is considerable.
Yeah.
Right. And part of the problem, so people understand why there's so few. I think it's really, I know there's one in Berkshire. I assume that's still there. There's the medical respite in Southeast that had to be closed temporarily. It's hopefully back up. There's one that Hope might have ran, or the place, what's the other place that's got both rehabilitation and respite in Hopkinton?
Oh, the Liz Now Center. Yeah.
Yes. So, and the reason some were closed going back a bunch of years, probably 25 years ago, was because the hardest thing was keeping them full during the week. That was my recollection. And the department made the decision that it was more cost effective to give families the ability to do it closer, not using, site-based centers. So just to fill people in, and we're returning to that because of the crisis, right? And we're returning to that. It's obviously why. So, but it's not super obvious, but the allowables, disallowables, Randy Sargent just asked. So that's the first place, allowables, disallowables. Does that even relate to flex funds? Or
Yeah.
It does, right?
Yes,
Okay.
it definitely does.
So every family support center has that. And I feel like,
It's on the web too,
Is it-
under the
is it
family
very-
support guidelines.
Okay, so what, so just go to the, again, mass.gov DDS, what I shared before, and look for the allowables, disallowables page. And then Kelly will get back to that question. Somebody else said, what about residential services early in the part? We're not going to, unfortunately, get into that today. People increasing housing options. Obviously, there are some housing options being developed. DDS did get an increased budget for both turning 22, right? And residential line item as well, just for everybody to know that. It's part of what we advocated for as well as at the ARC. But I do know your question's deeper than that, but I apologize to say, well, another week we could sort of tackle that one. And then Janice is asking, are any of these funds going to enhance more robust social recreation activities? On Cape, they're very sporadic, one-off activities. So, and then she explains where other resources have dwindled to. So I think in your first slide, right, you talked about more recreation. Let me go backwards here. Oops. I don't know what I just did. Screen sharing and stuff.
I know that there's at least one or well, there are at least a couple of adult under like the vacation and camp category. There are some adult activities in the evenings and weekends that are being organized, kind of they're falling into that bucket. So I think that would fall into that general topic area.
But she's right? It's not necessarily school vacation programs you have here, but this flexible funds could be combined, right? There could be other strategies for that.
The drop-in centers too it's both drop-in, site-based sort of, but really a lot of them are planning community opportunities for the individuals that would be coming for the day. So
when you say drop-in, right, help people get a feel for that, right? Because they might be thinking, would a drop-in center be like, I know we used to have one in the South Shore, really popular spot, a red brick building that's now also early intervention. But is it sort of like a place people can drop their son or daughter off? But there's also recreation, right, as part of that, Ellen?
Yes, but I don't think, I think it can't, I think people will want, the agencies will want to meet and know who's coming to the drop-in, just so they can prepare for the appropriate staffing. So I just want to say that I don't know that, it's that pure as a drop-in where you could
good point,
come unannounced
right.
and be supported appropriately for the day. So
and to Paula's point, these would be free. It wouldn't come out of your flex budget,
nope,
right?
It's free. Yep, free.
Okay, that was a good question. And by the way, Muriel said it's on the family support manual, and some people have that, but some people would have to go online to see the guidelines.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, I want to come back to the targeting thing. I know this is fresh, and everyone should know that, right? You're trying to get your hands around this. It's a lot, right? I mean, it's pretty substantial what you're offering to do, which is great. So let me just say again and commend DDS on that. I think the targeting thing is you may not have even gotten to and you're right. I'm not saying targeting and avoiding serving others, but I'm thinking about the people that probably won't get to go to the drop-in center as well. Those are the same people that aren't getting back to their day programs because of complex medical or behavioral conditions, right? And they need one-on-one. And if you're a provider who's struggling in his or her day program, right, financially, to do a one-on-one for somebody means telling 4 other people to stay home or 5 other people to stay home, right? Given the workforce crisis we're all in, not just our field, but the world at large. So do you think there could be some targeting on that where it's sort of, because not everybody calls the area office, they just keep going until there's an emergency, right? Is there some targeting strategy that people could be part of and help? And would that be at the regional level that we would do that, Tim and Ellen, or?
Like Tim was saying, a lot of this is still really in a little bit beyond planning. We're
right.
Developing them, but I think once they are developed, planned, and then the outreach it's the outreach. And I think it again would probably be kind of local, but we'd have to work with our areas to really reach those people that they know aren't that connected, or have higher needs and need these opportunities as well. And, tailor some of these to higher need folks. So.
And I'm not trying to put you guys on the spot, but what I'm saying is it'd be great to have that game plan for this population, because the quickest way, from my perspective, for the areas to get that information would be with the day providers, right? Both day have and CBDS, because they would find out, and the providers should be responsive to the area offices and give them the lists of people that they still can't serve, You know what I'm saying? It's sort of black and white. It's not, that would be great. So just a suggestion to take back, and I know you're not there yet, so I'm not saying you should be there even, I'm just saying it would be great to have that. It's something we had talked about some months ago with folks at DDS, and let's see, there's two more things here. And yeah, so Paul is talking about money for planning for outreach, preaching to the choir, for the folks that come here, at Paul's point, they sort of know where to get the information, whether it's here or somewhere else. And I guess that sort of feeds into the point I was asking about, that, and maybe you need additional staff, maybe you don't, right? You have the relationships with the day programs and the CBDS and the day habilitations. So, and then Kelly asked, where else can we find those allied health services that her, adult child can't get right now because he or she isn't in the day habilitation center? Is there a place? Boston Children's, Spalding? She's saying Boston Children's and Spalding won't take the kids because Mass Health Insurance isn't paying for it, even though Mass Health does pay day apps. That's more of a specialized thing. And by the way, when I say specialized, I don't mean it as to put it over here. I mean, it's more of a concern I hear from time to time from folks who see their son or daughter's skill level receding, right? Because they're not getting the communication support. And even though a paraprofessional may be doing it at the day habilitation, it's getting done based on a plan developed by an OT or a PT or a speech therapist. So that would be something. And then Carrie just put in, for issues related to the day hab, and contact my ombudsman. We had a presentation on that. So that might be something which has to be a partnership with Mass Health, because obviously Mass Health is funding day habilitation, and come, I don't know, a month or so from now, they're going to take care of all of it, including the supplemental payments, right? If everything stays on time. On the 19 stipend initiatives, when you say there's 19, could you give us a flavor of what that means?
Well, I mean, that really means that 19 different area offices or family support centers are working with area offices, but they're really 19 different efforts that are focused on reaching more people, making sure more families are offered this stipend, and really looking at the amount that people are getting, and is there a need to offer more for each particular case?
Oh, wow, great. Okay, so that's a great example of outreach and an attempt to reach more people. Thank you. Great. Carrie, go ahead.
Let me unmute. Also just wanted to encourage people to join their citizens advisory boards in their areas, or if their family support centers have advisory committees, because you can be an important author in some of these new initiatives. And that would be, that's terrific to be able to express your needs and your voices.
Yeah.
Right, it is. Before I finish this, I guess I want to reinforce people, we're hearing it live early on as it's being developed. So Carrie, not only Carrie's point, but if you do need something, The earlier you probably reach out, the better. If you know people in your community that need something, encourage them, and because the sooner they're known, it could take a little while, right, for this to play out. And also realize that if we're talking about, even if you have an ongoing agreement with somebody, it's going to take them a little bit, right, a little bit of time to go live in terms of offering the additional support. But this is great news, and additional support for individuals and families. Okay, if there's no last question, I'm just going to put in a plug for, remind people there's some upcoming webinars coming in. Remind you that Thursday, first Thursday of the month, Maura has a program. And what's this month? Anything left for the end of this month or early next month, Carrie, for your webinars?
Yes, actually, this week is our problem solving clinic. So bring us your problems and your questions, and it's a great little group. We talk about something different every month, but most of the time it's around transition and adult services. So the other thing is we'll be having on the 27th, next Tuesday night, Kathy Kelly from Mass Rehab is going to be talking about how can your students work, and how does that affect their Social Security. So I think it was fitting for this time of year where pre-ETS programs are starting up, and your loved ones maybe that are in school are maybe getting opportunities to have some internships and make some money. So this would demystify all that.
And just for pre-ETS, for some of you, a lot of you know what that means, but it's the MRC program that's based at schools and with resources available to students. And I just also want to plug, Kathleen will be on next week, Kathleen Amaral, to talk about voting and voting rights. And Paula Collins just said, if you need information on pre-ETS in North Central Mass, contact me. So that's great. Well, I didn't realize you were doing that. Okay, awesome. I knew you did other things related to employment, so that's cool. And I also want to I've got an amazing young man coming on October 3rd. It tells you that high expectations and volunteerism can make a difference in people's lives. His name is Anshul Gupta. He's from the Bay City area. He's not a Bay City roller, but he had been a remote student with our friends at MIT Beaverbrook Technology, and one of the folks there, professors there, turned him on to me because he started making autism therapy kits, and just pretty exciting. And I'm hoping to have some other people on once a month, that kind of theme, whether it's families organizing families or just themes like that. So stuff that we've been off and on, I think, over the years with Carrie's help, and I've had those kinds of topics in the past. So I just want to thank, again, Tim Cahill and Ellen Kilicarslan for being with us today. Thank you for all you're doing, and really appreciate, being here with us and sharing this news with families.
Thank you very much.
Take care. It was awesome. All right.
Thank
Bye,
you for having us. Yeah.
Glad to have you.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll be in touch. All right. Take care, everybody. Have a great week.
Thank you.
And next week's Rosh Hashanah, but we're going to tape that episode, so we don't expect everyone to show up. Happy holidays for those of you that will miss during the holiday next week.
Hey, Leo, there's one thing you might want to do on one of the sessions